Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Shadowrun, Hong Kong. What trouble were we getting into? We had finished the mission to... we were going to... Alright, kidnap Rooster. I had to take Gochu and Gobbet with me. And in... Now we travel to Shangri-La to kidnap Rooster, taking Gochu and Gobbet, because we need them. And Isabel. Uninvited guests. A tangle of marine decorum, restless lights, and ambrosial scents mingle atop a floating quay, a floating quay, to accent the Shangri-La, Aberdeen Harbour's premier dining location. With competitive views of the surrounding bay, the restaurant attracts a steady crowd of tourists and whooshing personnel. The primary moneyman for the 289s, Chung Sing Rooster Lo, is enjoying a rare meal outside of Triad-held territory. Intel says he's set up in one of the restaurant's private dining rooms, but he's not alone. Rooster keeps a personal bodyguard, a notorious orc called the Talon. in addition to his regular security detail. You've seen photos of the Talon's handiwork. Bodies so battered it's hard to tell where one bruise ends and the next begins. Your mission? Locate Rooster, extract him from the Shangri-La, and deliver him to your client alive. Simple, fast, low profile. Of course, even the simplest of runs can go sideways. Good, you can take one of those. You can take one of those. Confirmed. Stepping into the interior hallway of the Shangri-La, you're confronted by a massive wall of troll, the restaurant's front door security. He speaks with surprising elocution. Welcome to the Shangri-La. We strive to provide our patrons with an exquisite dining experience. If you have any questions or require special accommodations, please don't hesitate to speak with our staff. Looks like I've got my pick of the tables. I'm sorry, but this is not a seat-yourself establishment. If you'd like to choose where you sit, I suggest you make a reservation for one of the private rooms upstairs. He looks you up and down, frowns. Please keep in mind that any disturbances will be promptly de-escalated by our security. We reserve the right to bar service to unruly patrons. Thank you and enjoy your meal. Thanks. A waitress swamped with orders is caught unaware by your approach. Oh, welcome to the Shangri-La, man. Our hostess will seat you as soon as she gets back. You're welcome to wait in the lounge. This will only take a second. A loud exhalation escapes through her nose, and her eyes dart toward the kitchen. She musters an empty smile and nods in false hospitality. Absolutely, ma'am. What is it you need? How's business? She glances around, impatiently searching for an excuse to end the conversation. As always, we're very busy. But I see a couple of parties preparing to leave, so you won't have to wait long for a table. If you decide to wait in the lounge, please be aware that a group of our preferred wishing diners are celebrating inside. We'd appreciate it if you respect their privacy. Her finger anxiously taps the food orders clutched tightly in her hand. Anything else? I'm looking for someone, a Mr. Lowe. He has a reservation here tonight. Sorry, I'm not familiar with that name. I'll bet a hard-working waitress like yourself is good with faces. You'd certainly remember this man. Travels with a big orc who's got a nasty scar on his cheek. She fiddles with her scratch pad and eyes the plenteous orders scrawled across its top page. After a moment of consideration, she speaks. I might know the orc, if he's who I'm thinking of. He only comes around a couple of times a year. I've never served him, but I've heard he gets real pushy with the other waiters. Pushy, huh? Why's that? He's allergic to shellfish, I think. He gets so many orders. Sometimes mistakes are made. A hint of fear flashes across her face. I didn't just say that. I can assure you our service is second to none. She nervously peeks over her shoulder. Come on now. You must have heard what the orc and Mr. Lowe are eating, since you have to make sure allergy-related orders go to the right place. Ma'am, this is the Shangri-La. We have over 24 private dining rooms in addition to our main dining floor. As I've already said, I serve out here. Your friend could be in any of our other rooms. Now, excuse me, I need to place these orders. Enjoy your meal. And with that, she wheels around and marches towards the kitchen. An open program tracking food orders and their respective tables flicker steadily on the computer screen. AccuServe from Monraku, Shangri-La restaurant. Inside this file is a series of notes on guests and the restaurant's operations. You scroll through today's notes. Several servers have written about their concerns regarding tonight's lack of security, and a couple are frustrated with the curious guests wandering up to the second floor's private dining rooms. Rest is useless information. List containing dozens of orders pops up. Only a handful are for the upper floor's private dining rooms. One note on the second floor order stands out. Alright, floor 2, private room 3, VIP party of 5. Standard seafood buffet. 1, wine sampler 3, crab rangoon 6, Shangri-La prawns 2, surf and turf 1. Note, no prawns, avoid cross-contamination with shellfish. Diner is allergic. Nothing but your typical wage slave directives in here. There are a few mentions of curtailing recreational activities in storage rooms and on outer decks. One can only infer the meaning of said activities. Farther down, a note in red expressly warns that the special guest on floor 2 should be served by approved waitstaff only, and if the guest's orders are botched again, there will be significant and widespread consequences for all servers involved. The menu pops up with options to view or place orders. Following the menu is a dining room chart that's been broken down into server zones. A large comp button in the upper right corner has a lock icon over it. It seems people were being too liberal with the free drinks. Unfortunately, it looks like you need a service code to place an order. A heady aroma of spices and sweat bombards your senses. As the cooks move through the kitchen, scents churn in their wake. Some sharp, some sweet, or some altogether unfamiliar, but all delicious. The chef barks an order to his assistant searing fish, then whirls around, muttering fervently to himself. He stops short once he notices you standing in his kitchen. I told them I needed an extra server, not a hobo. Shoot. He gestures toward the door and returns to tasting an array of sauces. The chef peers at you over a mountain of oysters. No guests in the kitchen. Out. Sorry to intrude, but I need to speak with the head chef. He grabs a towel off a nearby rack and wipes his hands, grumbling to himself. I am head chef. I have little time to cook my food, and even less for conversation. This will only take a minute. Just make it quick. We've got 60 seconds before I have to pull these prawns out of the boiler. I'm told one of tonight's guests has a shellfish allergy. A less than mild-mannered orc. Sound familiar? That's a polite way to put it. Gave 2 of my cook's broken ribs and a matching set of black eyes last time he stormed my kitchen. He waves his hand. Yes, I know that orc. Got a shellfish allergy he's overly keen on hounding us about. As though this wasn't the top seafood restaurant in the 6th world. Alright, so what would it take for him to wind up with a few shrimp in his meal tonight? What? He balks at your suggestion. After a moment's recovery, he looks straight at you, nostrils flared. Can't possibly be saying what I think you are. You want me to poison a diner? You're deranged. I'm calling security. Listen, with your meager serving sizes, it is impossible for him to eat enough to become seriously ill. The chef nervously wrings his towel between his hands, stares at the sumptuous plates of food waiting to be eaten, a glance over his shoulders, a shake of his head, and then he smiles. A small, wry thing. You know, never appreciated our cuisine, our art. I think a special thanks is in order. See yourself out, won't you? The gnarled bar stool offers little in the way of comfort. A quick look around reveals the disparity between the restaurant proper and the bar, the latter of which appears neglected in comparison to the pristine dining room. Old, dried drink rings dapple the counter's uneven surface, and angry scratches run down its length. But you've got time to kill before Rooster arrives, and this is as good a spot as any to wait. Grab a drink and wait. Minutes tick away as you mull over a cold one. Rooster should be here any time now. An alarmed waiter in the tousled uniform stumbles into the kitchen. Chef, we have a problem. A big problem. Get the drama, cork mage. We're working here. Not for long. He glances out the kitchen door. A couple of prawns ended up in the orc's dish. The only thing worse than his allergy is his temper, and he's on his way down here. A howl and several thumps catch the cooking staff's attention. Apprehensive glances are tossed around the kitchen, their fear abruptly confirmed as a huge orc bursts into the room. A jagged scar across the orc's cheek matches your client's description of the talon. Or it would if the talon's face weren't a lumpy, swollen, seeping mess. The talon's face flushes in anger. Or perhaps as a side effect of his allergy, and he raises a knobby finger into the room. What is wrong with this place? His swollen lips spit more saliva than sounds. Excuse me, sir, you're holding the kitchen up. If you have any questions or concerns, speak to our host up front. He rounds on the chef, shoulders raised in disbelief. I've got a concern, alright. Concern regarding the shithouse you call a restaurant. His voice booms. This is the third time you slopheads have fucked up my order. If I'm regularly forced to check down your garbage, I expect at least some substitutions to be followed. No, shellfish. Get it right, or next time someone's going to end up a whole lot worse than maimed. Gaichu's eyes narrow. His anger at this establishment is misplaced. He should speak to his employer instead of venting at the chef. Yeah, probably. He nods and inclines his head toward you. It seems the Talon's left his post. I suggest we make our way upstairs while the room there is unguarded. You're right. Let's go. Inside the private dining room, you are immediately greeted by the piercing stare of two massive dragon statues. The flickering lights are just bright enough to illuminate their bronze bodies, the effect an eerie illusion of slithering scales. Across the room stands your target, Chung Sing Rooster Lo, his hands trembling at his sides. A single anxious guard stands near the door. Something has them on edge. The talon is missing. Sweat drips down Rooster's gaunt face. His eyes dart back and forth across the room, trying to size you up. Assess the situation. Without support, he appears nothing more than a trapped rooster who, without his talons, is defenseless. In an effort to invoke a sense of authority, he raises his voice. Who are you? What do you want? If you please come with me, we can make this easy. And don't try to argue. You're in a poor position with the talon missing. His anger flares. How dare you speak to me as if I were a child? Joe, where is the talon? Where is the rest of my security? A second passes while his eyes scour the room, looking for someone, anyone to come to his aid. Never you mind. Just get this strict tramp out of here. Yes, sir. No talon, no backup. All alone. You must really like your boss. He glances at Rooster. Not exactly, no. He begins to slowly back toward the door. Back, you can have him. Good boy. You don't need to kill everybody. No, wait, spare my life. I beg you, please. Drops of spit spatter from his mouth. His desperation obvious. Stop that. I'm here to take you alive. Don't make me change my mind. Listen, Seattle, we may have Rooster, but these stiffs were probably just a handful of his guards. He could have more downstairs. We can't leave the same way we came in. We're gonna get out of here in one piece. We need to find a new exit route. Fast. And I'm betting this chicken guy knows one. I bet you. Alright, let's ask. Rooster's teeth are clattering inside his head. His frame shakes uncontrollably. The realization that he's at your mercy, with no one left to defend him, is settling in. Well, Mr. Lowe, mind pointing us to the exit? Rooster stammers incoherently for a moment, but his words soon catch up with him. It's just outside of this room. To the right. But it's locked. And you have the key, don't you? He blinks, confused. His shocked mind slowly processing your implication. Yes, I do. He reaches into his coat pocket and withdraws a small key. I'll take that. Come on. Let's go. A monolithic, extravagant aquarium dominates the restaurant's lounge. Awakened sea anemones open and close along the tank's rocky bottom, unfurling to reveal a riotous explosion of color. It's like a natural fireworks display. In the upper reaches of the tank, multicolored fish of all shapes and descriptions circle. Circle and swarm. Schools of tiny prawns dart in and out of the rocks as skate-like things the size of koi glide through the water above them. Something like a lionfish made of bronze beats its frilly tail, causing shafts of light to reflect and refract through the water. Some of the animals in this tank must be exceedingly rare and expensive. Dang it. Can't get a new etiquette. This looks fancy, I'm going to grab a fish. Such fish can fetch high prices for discerning gourmets and collectors. Assuming that you know what you're stealing, of course. Whatever you take, treat it with care. You pop open a feeding port on the side of the tank. After a few seconds of splashing around, you grab a spined fish with large fins. A moment later, you plop it into a hydration bladder that you find in a dispenser on the side of the tank. The fish stares at you, bumping its head against the shimmering plastic. Secure in its bladder, it should survive until you can find a buyer after the run. The service elevator. Your comlink clicks. A burst of static, then the sound clears to reveal a soft voice. Riva, is this your channel? Sure is. Name's Paylon. I'm your getaway driver. We have details to discuss, but let's keep it brief. Time's ticking. Another burst of static and Paylon continues. I'm at the loading dock across the bridge from the restaurant's main entrance. Big old schooner. Can't miss me. Neither will the HKPF, who have just learned are on their way in here to in response to a security call. Well, this ought to be fun. One last thing. I may be the driver, but this ain't my rig. Door's locked and I don't know the code. You may have to break in. Good luck and get moving. A click and your comlink fills with static. A1 is gone. A pair of triad gangsters blocks your path. Men, help me. The words start pouring out of Rooster's mouth so quickly that they blur together. You free me, get me away from here, and I'll guarantee you'll be rewarded. Million, favors, power, whatever you want. Two guys exchange a look, then turn back to Rooster smiling. Actually, we're liking the position we're in now. You, begging at our feet. The idea that maybe, once you're gone, we can move up the chain. You know, Rocco here is plenty qualified to take your seat. In fact, you might as well make sure you don't make it out of here alive. Rooster looks up at them irate. His fury fizzles upon spotting the thug's various and ample gutlery. No, I can make you rich. Get over there. And boom. He is very exploded. Isabel, Jack in. Talon bursts out of the Shangri-La, nearly tearing the doors from their hinges. Despite the fleshy lumps that have transformed his face into an unreadable swollen mess, his rage is clear. At the sight of the Talon, you see Rooster's body relax. His voice cracks. Talon, I'm over here. Got weapons trained on me. Can't move. Save me and we'll get out of here. Take this incident straight to the top. They'll herald our survival. Reward us. Through leaking eyes, the Talon homes in on Rooster. You little shit. Dragging me to this restaurant over and over. Making me eat filth or watch you stuff your goddamn face full of it. Now, here you are, turned traitor in a blink. Rooster is trembling with fear, or anger, or both. He raises a shaky fear and points it at the Talon. You can't speak to me that way. You're beneath me. I'm still a red pole, and when the Triad comes for me, I'll see you flayed for those words. Ha! The laugh punches the air. Talon's lips curve into a clumsy smile, eyes gleaming. You won't get shit from the 289s. In fact, if your new allies don't gut you, the Triad will. Make sure you don't go squawking to anybody about high-level plans or secrets or whatever. Flee like you won't last a night. Rooster's fake bravado melts away. Eyes wide, he looks desperately around him. Trapped like a mouse in a snake's coil. Enemies on each side. His voice is small, pleading. Talon, Johnny, please. Please help me. It wasn't all bad, right? You had some good runs, you remember? Panic shakes him. I had no choice, Johnny. I was forced to surrender. But if you help me, get me out of here, I can see that you were rewarded, even promoted. How would you like that? Without hesitation, the Talon takes a step forward and spits on the ground. The hell with you, you spineless bit pusher. I'll bet you didn't even put up a fight. Just rolled over and played the captive. Coward. I'm going to enjoy planting a bullet in your soft, worthless skull. He readies his weapon. Get over there. Get over there. Okay. Okay. Got it. You switch to metal stance. Execute assassin program. Mm. And end the turn. Alright, yeah. Reload. Get over there. Get over there. Good. Get over there. Get over there. You get over there. And now we can leave. Right. The boat sailways languidly atop the water. Insulated walls stifle outside noises as if chaos just beyond the door belonged to another world. The interior is cramped, made smaller by maritime equipment protruding from the walls. The scent of sea and mouldering wood dominates your senses, ripened from years of perfunctory cleaning. Finally, a safe place to rest. Rooster flinches at your approach. When he speaks, he tries to sound confident, but his voice cracks. The 289s are gonna jam you up for this. Doubt it. With you out of the way, someone's probably nabbed your job by now. You heard the woman. You know what's good for you, yeah? You'll clap your trap, chicken man. She grunts in frustration. Can this schooner go any slower? I want to get paid already. There's a cinnamon bun stall in Kai Tak with my name on it. Hang in there. The boat heaves and pitches over the bay as your driver plows through the choppy waves to the drop-off point, leaving the Shangri-La restaurant far behind. Inside, restlessness fills the cabin. You finished the job. The extraction was a success. Your client waits his prize, the triad red pole rooster. It wasn't easy. It should have been. It would have been. That damned Talon hadn't mangled your plans with his visceral determination. But even Street's forged oil-clerk Talon could be stricken down. With the Talon dead, your escape from the restaurant to the getaway boat was made smoother. Well, as smooth as wading through a small army of triads and skirting the HKPF dragnet could be. Luckily, Rooster got through the pursuit unharmed, and with the Talon now permanently out of commission, you might earn a few extra new yen from your client. All in all, a good run. Alright. Life is great and open jobs, grab the client payment. The client is pleased with how you handled the situation. Rooster has been very contrite and forthcoming, due in no small part to the violence with which you handled the opposition. You've even earned a little extra for taking out the Talon. Your payment is attached. Kindly, Chen. Still gotta do data retrieval, but kindly. Bum, 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 bum.
Mm,
Okay. Um, First we'll talk to Gochu. Any thoughts about that last run? Gochu snorts, teeth bared in amusement. It was a wonderful affair. I had not previously had a chance to go on a run like that. Descending on an elite restaurant, kidnapping a triad redpole, escaping by boat. What is there to be displeased about? I doubt triads will shed any tears over Talon's death. He was a blunt instrument, a thug, easily replaced and rarely mourned. We have done this city a service by killing him. It seems unlikely that the 289s will seek revenge, even if they wanted to, which I doubt. They are too weakened to attack us here. Grew up in a corporation? Yes, in Keihanshin, the Kyoto Osaka Kobe sprawl. It is less populated than Neo Tokyo, but not by much. I grew up in East Kobe, where my father was posted in a Renraku complex. Bertie roots around in a nearby box, running his fingertips over several chips before deciding on one. He slots it into his PDA and the tread photo flickers to life in the space between you. A young man, obviously Gaichu, leans against a railing, which overlooks a sprawling harbor complex of skyscrapers and cranes. His school uniform is ripped, and the beginnings of a black eye are forming. Abrasions cover his knuckles and blood dots his pants. Despite this, he's grinning like he's just won the lottery, vibrant, fierce. You look like you haven't changed much. How do you mean? Unable to see which picture is being displayed. You look like you got in a fight. Ah, that must be on Mount Maya, if I remember right. I gave better than I got in that fight. 3 against 1, and they were out of shape and cocky. I used to cause a lot of trouble when I was in school. My father was constantly raging that I had no sense of responsibility, and that I needed to take life more seriously. A cackle erupts from Gaichu, sudden mirth spreading across his face. The final straw was when he bailed me out of jail. And that would have tried Raymond's patience too. That is the curse of fathers everywhere, to have their children give them ulcers. Especially true of high-strung authoritarian ones like Yasujiro. My friends and I stole a delivery van. It had a shipment of Shiawase Simsense stacks. Brand new, very expensive. We were going to fence them and use the money to take a trip to Okinawa. Gaichi pauses, cocking his head. Are you familiar with what it's like to grow up in a corporate family? Not a clue. You have to understand, children are trained to hate rival corporations. We did not regard a theft of Shiawase goods as illegal. We were simply doing our part to ensure Ranraku's supremacy. This kind of behavior is ignored and even tacitly encouraged by company media. Unfortunately, we were caught by Shiawase security, not Ranraku. You think your father approved, even secretly? I doubt it very much. For him, the activity was not the issue. It was that I was caught and embarrassed both the company and him. He is very much a man who believes that there is a proper way to do things, and I had once again cut corners. What did your father do next? Gaichu clicks his tongue a few times, seems reluctant to continue. That is a story for another time. Unfortunately, I still have a lot of arranging to do, and I doubt anyone else will be willing to be alone with me in a darkened room. Come back later, we can discuss it further. Okay, that's what you want. It is, and thank you again for your hospitality. The cabin is in a far better state than it was previously. The heat has been adjusted down and the ventilation restored. The boxes of junk and parts have been stacked and neatly arranged, and Gaichu's small amount of personal gear is tucked away in a corner. There is a small mat in the center of the cabin that looks like it doubles as both a rug and a sleeping pad. Gaichu is seated in the lotus position, eyes closed. His fingertips rest on a braille reader that is plugged into his PDA. The device fills the room with a soft clicking from the pin combinations. As you approach, he lifts his hands from the reader's surface. Hello again, Reva. Is there something I can assist you with? Looks like you've carved out a nice little spot here. If you say so. I doubt it would be suitable for others. But I do not require much by the way of space, and have few possessions. So long as I have a quiet area in which I can sit and relax, I am happy. Now, what is it that you wish to discuss? What are you reading? Gaichu draws himself up, folding his palms in his lap. With one toe, he pushes the braille reader away. It is called Agakure, Hidden Leaves, written by Yamamoto Tsunetomo, as a treatise on what it means to be samurai, and how one should best serve one's lord. Required reading for the Red Samurai, unsurprisingly. Looking for hidden meaning? I have it memorized, but sometimes I have found that reading the words that reveals new meanings, yes. I may have left my old life behind, but old habits are the hardest to shake. The author has a central thesis. When there is the question of life or death, always choose death. Throw oneself into the fray with no resignations and act on instinct alone. My current state of affairs speaks the truth of this more robustly than any lesson in a dojo. What's the rest of the book about? Gaichu ticks off the points by unfurling successive fingers. It is partly a manual for proper behavior towards one's lord, partly a rumination on the mindset required to be victorious in combat, and partly a collection of stories. Tsunomoto believed that to truly embody the virtues of a samurai, adherents should be mindful of their path at all times, never stop training, always question how one's actions reflect on their lord. Above all, be prepared to do your duty instinctively at any time, no matter what the cost. Instinct seems better suited to a ghoul than a man, honestly. Spreading his palms, Gochu bows his head in assent. Some might take offense to that assessment, but I am inclined to agree. I do not plan with the same efficacy as I once did, but I would not curse the tiger for relying on its instincts. Why should I not make use of mine? Aren't you worried that you'll lose more of yourself? I have considered it, but I do not think it likely. How can I lose a self that no longer exists? If I refuse to accept what I have become, I limit myself to remaining a damaged remnant of the man I was. But if I embrace my new nature, I can grow and become more than a mere man. What does he say about masterless samurai like you? 7 times down, 8 times up. Gochu smiles thinly, wrapping a claw on the hilt of his sword. More specifically, if a samurai has not been at least 7 times, then he has not truly lived as a samurai. Those were different times, however. It was common for samurai to fall out of favor with their lord and be turned loose to wander. For company men like myself, the choice is serve or die. See you later, Gochu. Yeah, a bit. Isabel glances up at you. Her expression is grim. Riva, I've come to a decision. I want these memories out of my head. They're an unpleasant distraction, and I was happier without them. When this is all over, I'm deleting them. To hell with locking them away again. I'm gonna purge my childhood altogether, shred the memories and move on. As an added bonus, it'll clear up a lot of headwear memory. I'm thinking that I could store some Simpsons recordings up there. Maybe make it so that when I try to remember my past, it's summers on the beach instead of sorrow and pain. These memories are a part of you, and they've changed you. Approaching them will kill that part of you again. Oh yeah? Good. The part of me that knows this shit would be better off dead. The rest of me will be a whole lot happier too. Yeah, sure. I saw shit in the Barrens that I'd probably be happier to forget too. But living through those experiences made me stronger. Good for you. I don't want to be strong. Not if this is the price. I'm the one who has to live with this thing. Don't waste your breath telling me not to get rid of it. She squeezes her eyes shut, rubs the bridge of her nose between thumb and forefinger. Any thoughts about that last run? Pretty simple, all things considered. Get in, nab the guy, get out. Can't say I've taken that many jobs. Can't say that I've taken many jobs that straightforward. There's also something kind of refreshing about having the upper hand over Triad Redpole, even if he's from a small-time outfit like the 289s. It was fun, I'll admit it. I'm also glad to have been able to put down the Talon. I knew a lot of people like that back in the walled city. The kind of psychotic bullies that would torture protection racket victims, even if they were going to pay, just to prove who was in charge. I owe that kind of people a world of hurt. Yeah, do you like life here in the Kraken? It's fine, shaping up. Better in some places. Yeah, I'll take the Kraken over the Barons any day. Any thoughts about that last run? I've never had a chance to go to Shangri-La before. Too ritzy for a straight rat like me. And you know what? I'm kind of okay with that. All those stuffed shirts and fancy food are nice, but give me a cheap corner stall any day. I did pocket some of the silverware though, and a teapot. Talon was a real piece of work. Glad to see that God put in the ground. He made my skin crawl. Like he was the kind of guy who'd torture animals for fun. Even the 289 seemed a little scared of him. I doubt anybody's going to shed tears over him for too long. Did any of the stuff in the story actually happen, or did you make it up for my benefit? Seattle, I'm hurt. It all went down exactly like I said it did. She pauses, except for a couple of embellishments here and there. But they make it a better story. Artistic license and all that. Gobbet leans back and stifles a yawn. Madness and Folly dart up to her left shoulder and lock their beady eyes on you. Needed to break it, kiddo, but I'm beat. It's been a long day. Lesson's over for now. We'll pick it back up next time. Alright, Gobbet, catch you next time. Yeah, sounds good. I'll have your next lesson ready and waiting too. She makes a brushing motion with her fingers. Scurry along now. Your mentor needs her rest. Ready for the next lesson? Yeah, that's good. I was hoping that you'd want to keep going with this. It's good for you, and I'm kind of enjoying it too. Gilbert runs a hand through the knotted ropes of her hair. A contemplative look on her face. A moment later, she turns her attention back to you. Alright, this is going to be another long story, so I'm thinking we should take it in chunks. If you've got any questions, you can ask them along the way, and if you need to take a break, we can come back to it. Sound good? Sure, sounds good. Good. So last time I told you about the event that brought an end to my illustrious career as a subcontractor. This time I'm going to tell you about a run that I went on with my regular team. Was this where you started running with Isabel? No, this was long before Is hit the streets as a runner. We were friends and everything, but she was still learning to deck back then. She was good for her age, but she wasn't ready for prime time. You don't know anybody from that group I'm talking about. They're all gone now anyway. You've had a rough career, haven't you? Yeah, I guess that I have, but I'm still alive. That's something. Puts me ahead of a lot of other runners I've known. Truth of the matter is, as runners, dying on the job is an occupational hazard. We're disposable assets. It shouldn't come as a surprise when we get used up and tossed away. Nobody lives forever. We all get flushed down the same chute in the end. Yeah, you know how it is. People die and it's sad, but there's no sense moping about it. Tell me about the team you were running with. Sure. She extends her hand so that she can count off teammates on her fingers. Madness scurries down her sleeve and perches on her forearm. Our muscle was a Hawaiian Jew with poor impulse control. A big round guy with lumberjack arms and ringlets in his hair. Called himself Honu. I guess he loved turtles? I don't know. Street names are weird. We had a tech specialist, Egret. She was tall, gawky, dyed her hair bone white. She had a drone named Arlo that followed her around like a lost puppy. She was kind of a jack of all trades, but she could get the job done. Fun at parties too. Our de facto team leader was a guy named Sui. He was a wiry troll, if you can imagine that. Probably about 2% body fat, all skin and bones. Walked with a hunch to make himself look smaller. He was a shaman, solid rat like me. Sounds like an interesting group of people. It was, but then everyone I've worked with has been interesting in his or her own way. As a rule, shadowrunning isn't a profession that attracts boring people. How'd you meet this group of yours? Through mutual friends. We actually all lived together before we decided to start running as a team. There was this floating squatters commune out in Hung Hom Bay. It's probably still out there, actually. I haven't been back in a long time, but I spent a few years living on the thing, and the rest of the team lived there with me. Squatters' commune? She nods. Yep, they called it the sinking ship. It was like an enormous raft, all bolted together from old shipping containers. It wasn't the most comfortable place I've ever lived, but the price was right and the company was good. I'd like to hear more about the sinking ship. Let's hold off on that a little bit, okay? I'd like to get through the rest of the story before we spend any more time on the raft. After your lesson's over, I'll tell you what you want to know about the commune, but for now, I'd rather not get sidetracked. Okay, I think I've got a grasp on the team dynamic. Keep going. Alright, moving on. So one day, Sui bought us a job. We met a client in Victoria Bahaba Bar, rich Eastern Tiger exec. Guy wanted us to steal something for him. Shiny object. He raises her hands. I know, it's stupid, right? But that's how the Johnson described it to us. The shiny object. That's what he wanted us to get. He never gave it any other name. Seriously? A rat shaman hired to steal a shiny object? Yeah. You can see how the gig would be hard for us to resist. Anyway, the client told us what to look for. He described it as a chunk of red jade about the size and shape of an ostrich egg, with a mirror-polished surface and gold wire inlays. He said that it'd have paper charms hanging off it, voodoo talismans, Taoist sorcery stuff. We weren't supposed to touch those. The client also told us about the shiny object's then owner, an old hedge wizard turned entrepreneur named Kong Xiu Yan. So you were supposed to steal a crystal ball from a wizard, essentially. When you boil it down like that, it does sound kind of silly, doesn't it? She shrugs. But hey, that's the world we live in. Like I said, Xiu Yan wasn't just a wizard. He was an entrepreneur, business wizard. The guy had resources. From what we were told, the old man was keeping the shiny object in one of his warehouses. He had a bunch of them. He built himself a nice little empire selling magical paraphernalia through puppet vendors in the Yao Ma Tei night market. Supposedly, a good fifth of the stalls in that place were on Xiu Yan's payroll. Yeah? What kinds of magical paraphernalia are we talking about? He begins counting off examples on her fingers. Pickled reagents in mason jars, hermetic scrolls and charms, relics looted from Buddhist temples, crates of old Balinese Rangda masks, and fist-sized stones from Greek dragon's kidney. Xiu Yan sold it all. How he got his hands on it in the first place is anyone's guess. I get the picture. Good, thought you might. We'd cased the warehouse for a couple of nights before the run, and we were pretty sure that Xiu Yan was keeping our payday in the vault area at the very back of the building. But the old man had enough tribe protection that we'd have to be sneaky to get there. Sui was the one who came up with the plan. We'd split up outside and enter the warehouse in two teams. Team A would create a diversion, and Team B would hit the vault while security was looking the other way. We'd grab our payday, regroup, and get the hell out of there. In my experience, splitting the group is always more trouble than it's worth. I'd agree with you if we were going in expecting a straight fight, but as a Shadowrunner, you should almost never want to get into one of those. When you're on a job, you're always going to be outnumbered and outgunned. Going quiet is inherently safer than going wild. And if splitting the group is what it takes to do that, she shrugs. Anyway, Team A, Honu and Ygritte circled around to the loading dock just like we'd planned. Sui and I waited by the service entrance. We didn't have to wait long. A couple of minutes in, we heard this ungodly crash. Then another and another. As it turns out, Ygritte had rigged into Xiu Yan's network of automated forklifts. She had 6 of them running amok in the loading dock, chasing down workers and crashing themselves into anything marked fragile. Sounds like a good time. I know, right? A dreamy smile spreads across her face. Wish I could have been there to see it. Ygritte's destruction did what it was supposed to do. As Sui and I watched, most of the triad guys at the service entrance abandoned their posts and went off hauling toward the loading dock. A couple of guys with baseball bats stayed back. Hey, Millie Mixie. But we handled them easily enough. Thank you for the posture check, stretch and hydrate. We slipped inside and made a beeline for the back of the warehouse, where the shiny object was supposed to be. Let me guess, something went wrong? No, actually, it was there, just like we thought it would be. The door was open and everything. The shiny object was sitting in a teak cradle, gleaming with reflected light, just like the client had said, and had a ring of Taoist talismans hanging off of it like a grass skirt. The paper all crinkled with age. We didn't waste any time. I reached in and grabbed the thing. It felt strange through my gloves. The jade sort of pulsed, as if it had a heartbeat. That sounds ominous. Yeah, tell me about it. I wanted to drop the thing, but it was our payday. So I slipped it into my satchel instead. Couldn't get the flap closed quickly enough. Package being secure, Sui and I turned to hightail it out of there. And then things went to shit. Did the shiny object do something unpredictable? No, not the shiny object. Old man Shio-yan. He was standing there, right in front of us, larger than life. I'm guessing that when he heard the commotion in the loading dock, he'd come waddling to make sure that his treasure was safe. As it turns out, it wasn't, because I'd already stolen the thing. He looked displeased. What did you do? What do you think we did? He had our backs to a wall. We lit the old bastard up. It was pretty epic, truth be told. Spirits were summoned, spells were discharged. The vault door sealed behind Shio-yan like something out of a movie. At one point, the old man leapt onto Sui's back and tried to bite his ear off. I won't bore you with a play-by-play of how the fight went down. In the end, we crushed him. Unfortunately, the fighting had caused some collateral damage. At some point during our showdown with Shio-yan, the control panel for the vault door must have eaten an arc of lightning, or the blast of a power ball. It was toast, all black and melted, and neither of us could fix it. So you were trapped in the vault? Yeah, that's about the size of it. And it was only a matter of time before the old man's remaining security guys found us in there. But there was still one way out. A ventilation duct, up high in the rafters. But it was too small for Sui to fit through. It was a troll after all. I had the shiny object, but if I left Sui there and security got to him, well, you do the math. So here's the conundrum. I've got our payday in my satchel. The team is split. It's inevitable that more Triad 49ers are going to find us, but we don't know when or how many. Egret are holding their own in the loading dock, for now. I could stay with Sui to help fight off the inevitable wave of Triad 49ers, but we'll be badly outmatched. Like, badly. The odds of survival won't look good for either of us. If Egret weren't pinned down in the loading dock, she could probably get the vault door open, but in order to get to her, I'll have to leave Sui alone in the vault. If Shio-yan's reinforcements find Sui before I get back with Egret, well, she uses her thumb to draw a line across her neck. So that's the scenario, Seattle. Not a lot to work with, I know. You tell me, what should I do? Well, you've got a dangerous magical artifact in your pouch, right? I think I'd try to use it. She nods, unsmiling. That's the most stylish answer, isn't it? Just audacious enough to be fun. It popped into my head right then and there, same as it did yours. So that's what I did. No hesitation. I just made it happen. It was almost like Sui had been waiting for me to pass him the thing. He seemed eager to take it. He hugged that chunk of rock to his chest like a newborn baby. Color swam in the stone and something changed in his eyes. Then old man Xiuyan's 49ers breached the door and Sui unleashed hell. Xu pauses, frowning. Stops scratching Folly and uses the hand to rub her eyes. Finally, she turns back to you. A sour look pinches her features. What went down in that room? Well, I've only seen that kind of carnage a couple of times in my life, and I've been running the shadows for years. Those triad were torn to scraps by the end of it. I don't think I'll ever forget the sounds that they made. She clears her throat. I spent most of the fight huddled up in the corner for my own safety. What Sui let loose from that stone didn't seem terribly interested in discriminating between friend and foe. What do you mean by that? Did he summon hostile spirits or something? Something like that. Truth be told, I don't know what they were. Like I said, I was hiding. But he couldn't have done it without the shiny object. Not in a million years. Whatever they were, the rock brought them here. So what happened then? She shrugs. We waited for things to calm down in the vault. And for the things to go slithering away. I think that Sui had some limited control over them, which is why they didn't eat us. And after they were gone, Sui gave me the shiny object back, I put it in my satchel, and we bailed. We collected the others on the way out. They were blissfully ignorant of what happened on the other side of the warehouse, and I didn't see a reason to change that. We hightailed it back to the docks and caught the first boat back to the sinking ship. Mission accomplished. Gobbert looks away again and stares off into space. From what I'm told, people still avoid Xiuyan's warehouse like the plague. It's supposed to be haunted, even to this day. People who set foot in the building keep turning up dead. I'm pretty sure I'm one of the only living people who knows why. Abruptly, her language changes. Anyway, that's it. Lesson's over. If you've got any questions, go ahead. Can you tell me more about the sinking ship? Yeah, sure. The story's over, so we can get into it. I moved onto the sinking ship when I was just a kid. I think that I was 12, maybe 13 years old at the time. In the beginning, it was just me and a couple of rat shaman friends, Cadmus and Malvina. They were older, but they were always cool to me. Is it typical for groups of rat shamans to congregate like that? Not terribly, no. I mean, we have lodges, same as any other group of shamans. You can usually find a few of us hanging out in those. I guess that there was just something special about our little group. Or maybe about the sinking ship. We liked it. We felt at home there. It didn't hurt that the sinking ship was well stocked and provisioned when we, found it, either. Don't look at me like that. It was abandoned when we took it. Abandoned? There was a team of Shadowrunners that lived on the thing before us, but they bid it on a job. Yay! Yay! Thank you. Thank you for the gift sub. Lost. Cat and Mal heard the knock of opportunity, and they claimed the raft of a rat in record time. Taking over the sinking ship wasn't an easy job, mind you. The previous owners had installed traps and automated defenses all over the raft. Cad had his hands full with those for a month. I appreciate it. Thank you for the gift. Sending out the gift sub. If I were in your shoes, I'd have taken the raft too. She nods once decisively. Down straight, and the traps weren't even that big of a deal. With Cat and his sister there to work on them. They disarmed most of the really bad stuff. Made the decks safe to lounge around on. Biggest problems were the scuttling charges. The runners who built the raft installed these explosives all along the perimeter that would rip the bottom out of the thing if they were ever seized by the police. The explosives were tricky to deal with. Cad was able to disarm them, but he had to leave them where they were. It was always just slightly uncomfortable, knowing that I was sleeping on top of a couple of 100 pounds of dormant explosives. Yeah, I can't blame you there. She shrugs. Hey, like I said, it was free. There weren't really even any rules. There weren't really even any rules to follow, which suited me fine. Alvena was the sort of a leader of our little nest, but we never really listened to her. She was always trying to play the mom card, still a sense of responsibility into us. It was cute. She did have a propensity for getting things done, though. I have to give her that. Anyway, after a few months, other people started showing up. Squatters, homeless people, Shadowrunners, and assorted crazies. As long as they stayed cool with us, we were cool to them. Eventually it became a community. Imagine that. Stranger things have happened. Yeah, sure. I guess so. He shrugs. God, but was there a point to this story? I'm trying to find a moral here. It was when I started telling it. I thought I was going to tell you to be comfortable with breaking the rules. But I don't think I'm going to say that now, though. I'm not feeling it anymore. Why not? At least your team made it out of this run alive. It didn't stay that way for long. But let's leave that for next time, huh? I don't want to get into it just now. Take a break, come back to it later. Happens to the best of us. I still feel bad about it. So look, I'll make you a deal. The next lesson will definitely be on point. And I'll tell you what it's about up front. No more question and answer sessions. How does that seem? Fine by me, Gobbet. Catch you next time. I still got 2 more missions. A couple more missions. I need to talk to Captain. So I need to go to and yes, it does. Captain Juma is busily playing some kind of gambling game on his comm. It beeps and flashes as he taps away. Come on, Jomo, win, not lose. Maybe buy yourself that new hat. doesn't appear to have noticed you at all. The game makes a sad, defeated noise. Jomo curses under his breath, nose wrinkling in disgust. Finally, he seems to notice you. Stupid game. Always it cheats me. Never a good hand. Now, kindly Cheng sends you, la. You need Captain Jomo to take you to play pirate? That's right. Got you. Gobbet. And Isabel. The ride out to the Nelchi is nerve-wracking. Captain Jomo seems an expert pilot, but massive waves threaten to scuttle his small boat at every turn. Deep thunder rolls in the distance, and at the edge of your vision, lighting occasionally illuminates your target, the MV Nalchi. As Jomo puts your small craft directly up to the bow of the Nalchi, where you're least likely to be spotted. He throws a rope ladder up over the side, hustling you aboard before pulling away. Time to get to work. Alright. What can I upgrade? And alright. We'll upgrade our what do I want to work on? Become more robot. Yeah. Climbing onto the foredeck of the Nelchi, you pause to catch your breath. The cargo ship rolls and pitches with the waves that batter her sides, and rain assails the deck. Deep thunder rolls overhead. After a tense moment of waiting for the inevitable alarm klaxons, you hear nothing but the storm. Lifting his nose into the rain, Gaichu tastes the air with his tongue. He carefully turns his head, mouth open to catch the most noise. I hear nothing but the storm, and I smell no adrenaline in the air. I believe we have arrived undetected. Isabel stares at her comic. When she speaks, she doesn't bother looking up. You can smell adrenaline? You get creepier every day. I will not apologize for what I am, or what that means for my senses. It is a fact of my existence, much as your height is a fact of yours. Gachi turns his unseeing, milky white eyes toward you. Your orders? I want to keep low and stay behind cover. Gachi clicks his tongue a few times, then bares his teeth in a rictus grin. The storm is making it nearly impossible for me to hear. It will be much worse for the security on the ship. They will most likely not notice us if we stay out of sight. If we are seen, they will be forced to use wired alarms, as the storm will make using their radios next to impossible. Gaichi rests a hand on the hilt of his sword and takes a hissed breath over clenched teeth. We should hit them with all possible speed, before they can rouse the rest of the ship. This is a simple interface for the Nelchi's above-deck systems: drainage, running lights, water pressure, and cameras. Most of the systems seem to be basic enough that you wouldn't be able to do much with them. The camera feeds don't appear to be broadcast into the bridge. They're going straight to recording. With a little work, you could change that and get a better view of the deck. After a few moments of fiddling with the cables, Isabel closes the panel up. There we go. I've rebooted the cameras and patched them into our comlets, and locked ship security out. Couldn't get into the cameras inside the ship though. They must be on a different circuit. Game? Game. There we go. Dang it. Reloading. Good. Get over there. And those guys don't trigger their alarm. Switch to metal stance. Put the whole team over this side. Should be good. Okay. Yeah, we're good. Stealth operations, go. Get over there. Then let them touch the alarms. Dang it. Get over there. And there we go. Oops. Sorry, got you. That's what dealt with. Get over there. Good shot. Wonderful. Get over there. And wonderful. And I didn't trigger the alarms. As you creep down onto D deck, the ship is eerily quiet. The sound of the withering storm is muted to low moans of wind and shuddering vibrations when lightning strikes. Collecting yourself, you listen carefully for any other sounds. Nothing. The presence on the ship appears to be as yet unnoticed. Squeezing water out of her rope's pair, Gobbet nods in satisfaction. Nicely done. We're almost to the goods. And the rest of the ship's got no idea we're here. Fighting down here will definitely get their attention. So, let's play it smart. We get the goods, radio our pickup, and get out. Exactly. Let's wrap this job. Keep your eyes open, Seattle. We've gotten this far by being careful. No reason to change that now. I'd like to get home without any extra lead in my body. This panel's door is hanging open, the wires inside sparking occasionally. It looks like someone was recently in the process of working on the cabling but was called away. This might provide useful access to the ship systems. Searching through the wires and cables, it looks like someone was in the process of upgrading the internal camera system for the Nalchi. They've left the wires exposed. Anyone with basic electronics knowledge could patch their comlink into the feed. Isabel hooks her cyberdeck up to the diagnostic port, and a few moments later, several lights flash green. We're all set. They must have brought this setup from some cut-rate junk dealer in the Golden Mile. What a piece of junk. This computer appears to be for monitoring and controlling ship systems, power routing, alarm systems, and bilge pumps. Like everything else on the Nelchi, it's an obsolete piece of junk that doesn't even have a VR interface. Just a touchscreen and a keyboard. But you know what? I bet we could screw with the guards down here by using this computer. Draw them away to a different deck or something. Investigate the power routing system. The power routing system appears to be connected to some low-level ship functions, as sewage control, HVAC, and backup battery control. It doesn't look like there's much you can do with those. Investigate the alarm systems. The alarm system doesn't seem connected with the actual security alarms. It appears to be primarily a voltage and short-out protection system that engages if there's a power overload somewhere on the ship. A few tweaks and you could probably fake a voltage overload elsewhere on the ship. After a few adjustments, you set off a system test alarm on C deck. It won't fool anyone for long, but they'll have to go to C deck to make sure it's not a real alarm. It's going in gobbets. And that grenade can go to Isabel. Oh, never mind. I got you. And no, we don't touch the fire suppression system. That would be bad. Eastern Tiger File OS 2.2.1 Development Diary Project Overview File 2 Development Diary Phenotypic Alteration Number 3 Longevity Research. Initial research into metagenetics presents a singular challenge, to wit, the study not of genes themselves but of the interaction between genetics and the unforeseen world of astral space. If the creation of a particular metatype or magically expressed phenotype was as simple as recombination of given amino acid sequences, then the creation of natures would be as simple as the expression of a given eye color or skin tone. Unfortunately, such expressions are far more complex. The expression of traits previously considered to be supernatural is a complex interplay between mundane DNA, the condition of the ambient manosphere at the time of development, and the interactions between genes and what we've dubbed astral shadows. Any research into these is fraught with difficulty due to their resistance to traditional, that is to say, technological instruments. Ergo, Omega Sequence 358G is a project decoupled from the usual safeguards against project overruns. We have been granted extensive magical assistance in our pursuit of higher metagenetic understanding, as well as autonomy from legal concerns. As such, Omega Sequence project materials must be kept in Eastern Tiger secure facilities only. Deviation from this may result in local law enforcement interest, and subsequent cleanup costs can be prohibitive. Phenotypic alteration is the key process which allows for the Omega Sequence project to progress. Ordinarily, an organism's phenotype is set and cannot be changed after a very early point in development. Morphology, phenology, replication processes, any alteration in the coding sequence of a living organism is invariably fatal, except in the case of the Omega Sequence. A combination of alkylating agents, ambient mana control, and potent alpha emitters allow us to control the replication of the Omega Sequence metagene. This is accomplished through the alteration of the interactions between DNA and the astral shadows, the building blocks of metagenetics and mana-based abilities. To understand this concept, consider an Indonesian shadow play. The story one watches is not of the puppets, but the shadows they cast. A skillful puppeteer manipulates not just the puppets, but the space between the screen and the viewer. So too is it with metagenetics. Magical aptitude, metagenetic traits, and formerly unknown parazoology are revealed when mana levels reach a sufficient point to allow the astral shadows of DNA to engage with it in their delicate, powerful dance of replication. To change the metagenetics of an organism, we do not manipulate only the subject's DNA, but the space between the DNA and the astral plane. We cast the requisite shadows, engendering change that cannot be explained solely by base pairs, alleles, and nucleotides. Control is our challenge. Control is a delicate art. It requires patience and perseverance, as well as scientific acumen. But with enough degree of control, we will be able to replicate magical abilities, trait expression, and black swan effects. What are these black swan traits? Individuals born during events which cause ambient mana to spike have been known to express extreme magical potential and meta traits not possessed by the majority of their metatype. Research into Homo sapiens nobilis subjects born during the awakening, for instance, indicate that ordinary elven longevity simply does not apply, that there is no upper bound to their telemetric regeneration. Effectively, they appear to be immortal. Alright, we've got ads starting, so we'll take a short break from the ads. And then we'll be right back to it. But we'll get this organized. And almost done with the ads. Yay. Alright, we're just about done with the ads. The cold storage tank and attendant machinery are lit from within the organic soup by flickering, baleful lights. The tank containing Omega Sequence 358G chugs quietly with the hum of pumps and coolant. As you look at the tank, the fluid shifts, and there is a soft thump of mass as a mass of organic matter drifts up against the glass. A pale, lidless eye stares at you from within the tank. The face it resides in is a ruined mass of tumors and scabrous pustules, a mutated mass of teeth and indeterminate growths dominating what should be the nose and mouth region. As you look, it fixes its lone eye upon you, the pupil flickering back and forth as it tracks your motions. Gobbet gasps and quickly slaps a palm against the tank. She peers at it intently for a few seconds, and a deep shudder rolls through her body. She turns to you, her voice barely above a whisper. Reva, I think this thing is alive. I don't think it's intelligent, but it's definitely living, despite being mostly made of cancer and disease. We need to shut off this life support system down, Gobbet. Nothing deserves to live in this condition. Isabel glances at the creature, putting one hand through her mouth to stifle a retch. Gobbet leans closer to the tank, still whispering. Only a few more minutes, monster. You'll be at peace soon. The Eastern Tiger Cool Core Pro version 2.2.6. Please input command. Take the samples and turn off power. After a few moments of wearing, a small drawer opens to present you with a rack of vials. Each one contains a scrap of tissue. You power down the machinery, and the lights in the vat dim and as the creature slowly closes its single eye. As the last hum of power fades, the creature drifts away from the glass. With the data and tissue samples secured, you are ready to make your exit from the Nazi. Pulling your comlink, you dial Captain Jomo. The Malaysian orc's face springs to life on your comlink, his tusky maw spread in a grin. Jomo is listening. Are you ready for a pickup, my friend? We're standing by and have eyes on the ship. Come get us. We're done here. Easy, la. We'll be there in a few minutes. Be ready right where we dropped you off, friend. With that, Jomo disconnects the call. In a few minutes, the only thing between you and Hong Kong will be the open ocean. The last detail is to inform the Johnson everything is complete and have him transfer payment. Rapidly dial the number Kindly Chen gave you for Tegath. The elf on the screen has the bearing of someone with no time for pleasantries, and his tone is flat when he speaks. This is Tegath. Is the task done? We're done here. We can release the data at a time and site of your choosing. That was swiftly done. Unfortunately, there's been a complication. I can't transfer you your payment until we meet in person. I have had a tail on me since I arranged the run with Kindly Cheng. I think the Soul Pass have caught up with me, and are watching to see what I'm up to. I can shake the tail, but I need to ensure my safety before this is done with. I can help with that, but it'll cost you. Tegath grimaces, but he nods his head in agreement after a few seconds. I'll pay whatever it takes to get them off my back. If I can't, my family's still dead. I have a safe house in Ho Chung village that I set up before landing here. Meet me there. Call me when you're close and I'll shake the tail. As long as we get it handled in a hurry, I should be able to get out of Hong Kong. I should be clear to get out of Hong Kong. Better have the money when I get there. Keep an eye out for anyone following you. I need to get out of Hong Kong in one piece. You disconnect the call and pocket your comlink. Things just got a whole lot more complicated. I don't like this one bit, Reaver. Last minute plan changes are the fastest way to get killed. Especially if somebody bloodthirsty like this Selpa rings are involved. This whole thing stinks. Sure does. How else are we going to get paid? Listen, just keep your eyes open and be ready for anything. I want to come home in one piece, okay? As you start to move away from the Omega Squeeze sequence cargo, you realize your comlink is buzzing with an incoming call. Pulling it back out of your pocket, you answer. The caller's expression is there's a level of unspoken menace in his eyes, the glint of a killer. Good evening, Reaver. My name is Huang Jaemin, and I represent the Blue Heavens Solpa ring. I have just become aware that you are in possession of data and tissue samples from Project Omega Sequence 358G. I would like those samples, and I am willing to pay you for them. Who are you and how did you get this number? Quite frankly, your employer doesn't know the first thing about Matrix security. We've hacked his comlink and his rental car. I simply redialed you once you called him. My apologies for such an unorthodox introduction. A woman of your stature should be afforded more respect, but time is short. I understand that you are an associate of Kindly Chang's. My own organization is far too trivial to have attracted her notice, but I believe you can help me change that. Merely doing business with you will increase our standing a great deal, and since I have information that may save your life, perhaps we can come to an arrangement. Cut the flattery and tell me what you know. The Blue Heaven Ring has been retained by Eastern Tiger in order to prevent the theft of the Omega sequence data and samples, the very things you have just taken. Your employer, whose full name is Tiger Wright, has been attempting to acquire them for some time. The entire reason the data and samples are being shipped to Seoul is because of botched Shadowrun. One on the Eastern Tiger facility in Tacoma where the project was being developed. Tiger Wright was the Johnson for that run. Your employer is not who he says he is, nor are his motives pure. He was never employed by Eastern Tiger and has no family in Seoul. Near as I have been able to determine, he's an agent of the Tir Tangaya Information Secretariat. A spy, if you will. What's a Tir elf doing hitting Eastern Tiger? I am not certain, but I suspect that the Council of Princes has an interest in suppressing research into elven longevity. Every scientist working on the question of potential elven immortality has been disgraced or disappeared, except for those employed by Eastern Tiger. I suspect that the elves have secrets they'd rather not have the rest of the world know. Wrights attempted to intercept Eastern Tiger's cargo at every port it's landed at. The strike in Tacoma was only the first. There was a second attempt in Perth, and a third near the Riau Islands, against the very ship you're now on. Don't think for a moment that Wright will hesitate to kill you as soon as you hand the data over to him. So what do you say? I pay you for the data you have, and both of us can eliminate Wright and whatever hired guns he's brought along. I think that is a fair arrangement. I don't believe you. These experiments are horrible. Wang's expression darkens as his tone grows cold. I'd hoped we'd be able to come to an agreement, but if you refuse to see reason, bullets may prove a more effective argument. No one crosses the Blue Heaven Ring and lives. Your death will be an object lesson in that. I have heard the stories of the Soul Pass behaving like bloodthirsty yet petulant children. I am pleased to see they're entirely accurate. Naughty children need to get spanked sometimes. Put your comlink away and check the time. Captain Joma should be arriving any minute. Time to head back to Hong Kong and what awaits. The boat ride back to Hong Kong is tense. Even Captain Jomo's jovial nature does little to lighten the mood. The deep storm swirls in the sky behind you, and although you've accomplished your mission, you wonder what's in store once you reach Ho Chung village. What will be waiting for you in Ho Chung, and who will betray whom? And, most importantly, how can you survive the night and still get paid? You're certain these mysteries will be revealed. But how you'll learn these answers could be deadly. The Hochang MT station is a testament to high-class design left to rot over a period of 15 years. Smelling of stale urine and mold, this stop has seen better days. With any luck, you'll be able to wrap the job and leave Hochang before the sun's fully up. Gochu runs a fingernail over the glittering edge of his sword before turning to face you. You realize, of course, that Huang is going to be lying in wait for us, yes? That he will try to kill us and steal the data before or during the handoff. Of course, you do. It's as plain as day. Seems to know how to play the game. Absolutely. And the best way to play when you've been dealt the hand he has is to strike from stealth and bring overwhelming force to bear. He knows who we are and what we can do, and that means he'll attack with whatever forces he can muster. Let's keep our eyes open and look around Hochang before going to the meet. I'd rather not charge headlong into an ambush if we can avoid it. Let's go. This is an LTG access check, used for maintenance and diagnostics. A Decker could use this to check recent traffic cameras, just grid guide and power flow, and manipulate basic utilities in the local area. Okay, there's 2 pathways. Hang it. Okay. Shit. Good. Get my assassins. And then zap. Come here. Are you and your men ready yet? I have a timetable to keep. Don't rush me. You hold my team halfway across the world for this little adventure of yours, and we've just gotten off the plane. Contract says we'll be ready by 0300 hours, and we will. In the meantime, get the hell off my back. Tyger's expression is one of barely restrained anger. His hands ball into fists. You'd better be, you little toad. This is a matter of national security for Tirtanga, and given what you're billing me, expect nothing but perfection. The mercenary commander is utterly unimpressed by Tigger's impotent rage. Spare me. That kind of line might work on the rank-and-file troops, but this isn't my first day on the job. Without my troops, you'd be stuck hiring local scrubs with zip guns. Is it here? I'm only here because my boss likes your brother. The elf's eyes narrowed to razored slits, and he jabs a finger toward the mercenary. Just be ready, mercenary. I've paid you for your time, and for the duration of this mission, I expect your loyalty as well. I'll do my job right. That's what you're paying me for. You do yours. Now, I want to get out of this forsaken pit, catch the next flight back home. Yeah, strategy. Just saw. Tigger fidgets nervously as you approach him. His entire body is tense, and his eyes flick rapidly around the market, as if searching for unseen threats. As he notices you, he relaxes somewhat, but only a small amount. Oh, thank God you're here. I'm at my wit's end. I could swear that I'm being watched everywhere I go. He continues to glance nervously around. I don't like being out here. It's too exposed. In the distance, a police siren wails. Jacob's hand dives under his jacket, but as the wailing recedes, he relaxes again. Listen, did you bring the stuff? The faster I can get that stuff and leave Hong Kong, the safer I'll be. Gaichu cackles and lays a hand on the hilt of his katana. You stink of fear, little man. Calm yourself. If a threat arrives, we will deal with it for you. Toget stops fidgeting and takes a breath and nods. Okay, I'm calm. Can we just get this over with? I got a call from the Soul Pass that are tailing you. Toget's eyes bulge in shock. What? How did they know to call you? Your comlink's been hacked. They've been tracking your movements. Toget swears under his breath, wiping a hand over his damp forehead. Shit, what? That must be how the Soul Pass have been staying on me this whole time. You should have been more careful. Right, obviously. The elf gestures at you impatiently. We'll hand over the data and samples and you can get paid. Then we can all go home safely. Isabel narrows her eyes at Tigath's urgency. Not yet. Your story's full of holes. What about your family? You have the data. Nothing is stopping Eastern Tiger from killing you and taking it back. I don't trust you. Tigath fidgets nervously, regarding you with suspicion. What do you mean by that? It means we know you're from Tiratangai, you son of a bitch. And we know you've been trying to get this shit since Tacoma. What? A bunch of crazy psychopaths spin a story about me and you're gonna believe them? The story just doesn't add up, Tigath. You're lying to me. The elf's expression abruptly changes. His fear washes away, abruptly replaced by cold professionalism. His fidgeting ceases almost instantaneously. I see. Well, now that the cat's out of the bag, I need to figure out what to do about this snarl. Velvet has an evil glint in her eye as she leans toward Tigath. No sudden moves. I'm feeling awfully nervous. You move too quickly, accidents can happen. Don't be melodramatic. I'd rather avoid bloodshed if it can be helped. If you're amenable, the deal can proceed as planned. You're going to answer some questions first. I suppose I can indulge you. You've worked out as rather good hires so far. What's Tiratangai's interest in Eastern Tiger? Frankly, nothing. Zero. Eastern Tiger just happened to be the company researching into things that it shouldn't be. My orders are to terminate that research. And tell me about Omega Sequence 358G. Research into elven metagenetics. Abhorrent stuff. Deliberately mutating elven genes in an effort to take the best qualities and imprint them into other metatypes. Ridiculously, they seem to think they'd be able to unlock the secrets of immortality. I don't see the problem, honestly. Then you're absolutely as moral as I'd expect a Shadowrunner to be. Still, I can't be a picky man while in foreign lands. What do you intend to do about the Soul Pass? I don't intend to do anything about them. I intend to leave this horrible little island. The question is, what do you intend to do about them? You live here after all. Before you can answer, a shout rings out. Yeah, what are you going to do about me? You think I'm gonna let you hand this off without a fight? Nah, that's not happening. I'll tell you what. I'm still gonna let you walk out of here alive. I'll pay you for the data and let you live. Not the elf though. He dies. Ah, look, it's the Idiot Brigade. I am Huang Jaemin. I command the Blue Heaven Ring. Huang squares his shoulders, pulling his submachine gun to bear on you. I am not about to let some 2-bit Shadowrunner scorn me like you did. I'll make you one final offer. You give me the data and samples. Help me kill this elf. In exchange, I'll let you walk out of here alive. As you are distracted, Tigeth puts one hand to his ear and utters a single sentence. Move in and secure the area. There is a sudden sound of running, boots on concrete. In the split second you glance over the elf's shoulder, he's in motion. Magical energy begins to arc around Wright's hands. What now then? It seems we're at an impasse. I'm not about to go back to Portland empty-handed. Both of you are crazy. I'm walking out of here with the data. Try to stop me. I'll put you down. Huang's lips curl back from his teeth and he spits toward you. What? Are you crazy? You won't make it 10 feet, am I? Repulsive as it is, I have to agree with the little toad. You're not leaving with that data. Let me show you why I am a survivor. Get over there. Okay, Sibyl to activate that. We'll try and get a spirit out into the fray as well. Summon the spirit. Oh, good. That's fine. Can't have that. I lost control of it. Move over there. And now we get out. And we're gonna fall back to that way. Go. Let them fight it out. Except for that part. Grenades do not work on my character anymore because I'm mostly robot. And I need to go rescue Isabel. Reload. Hydrate, thank you. Hey. That's hilarious. Switch to yeah, that'll work. And then sliced. Thank you, lost. Oh, stretched. No grenades. Give you some health. And nope. And review from the fight. Grenade launches. We love them. Really? Dang it. Do that. And slice, and slice, and slice. Good. Giving Good. And the captain dies. And do a heal. Get over there. Get in there. As the smoke clears and the din of combat fades into the night, take a deep breath. It's finally over. Really? What? What did I say? Glancing in your direction, Gobbet nods in satisfaction. This shit we dealt with tonight. That's why I cut and run. Auntie Chen can't find a buyer for that data. We're out of payday. Auntie's resourceful. She'll find a buyer, don't worry. Let's just get home for now. And I have a new shotgun. And now that that's all done, we can leave the city and head back home. Yep. It all comes down to one thing. At the end of the day, the only people you can really trust are yourself and your own team. Neither Tygath nor Huang was up on the up and up, and when push comes to shove, you'll stand alone against any odds you please. Back to Haley, and hopefully better work. Alright, here we go collect our money for that mission. Ooh, everybody leveled up. You're all at max level. Ooh, that's good. That's level 3 haste. Take spiritualist. Take that. Take that. Quick regenerate. The Ares heavy laser. Now they're all leveled up at max level. And we named our ship the Kraken. Right, go collect our money. I don't know how to describe this job other than by calling it a complete clusterfuck. You did the right thing, killing both Wright and Huang. Don't appreciate worms who try to stiff me, and as sure as shit don't like the soul power rings. I've attached payment. Nobody paid me, but I'm sure I can sell the data and samples you brought back. Consider this your eventual cut of that sale. No active jobs. Nothing pending, no new messages. Nothing else there. Just need to know if Gobbert's side mission. Gobbert glances up at the sound of your approach. A slight smile crosses her face. Here, pal. She puts her hands on her hips, sending madness scurrying. Are you ready for your next lesson? Absolutely. Hit me with it. Straight to business. She nods appreciatively. I like that. Good. This one's about people like Arnie Cheng and why we need them. Won't be a Q&A after this session after this story, but I want you to listen up. It's important. All ears. Alright, so here's the upfront lesson. Fixes are important. You can't just go to a Johnson yourself and get a job. I mean, you can, but you shouldn't. It's a bad idea all around. You want to tell me why? Because Auntie Cheng and people like her serve a purpose. You get a job from her and you can trust she's vetted the client. That's important. It protects the whole team. He takes in a breath, floats it out slowly. You remember the lesson from last time? The one about Sui and the shiny object? Yeah. Now, after the run was over, we went back to the sinking ship for some R&R. Sui had told us that the client would be sending a boat to collect the shiny object in the morning. All that we had to do was keep the thing safe until the handoff. We were in a celebratory mood. We'd killed an evil wizard and stolen a priceless artifact. A good night's work by anyone's standards. Manu and Egret got good and drunk in record time, so he went back to his cabin with the shiny object to, I don't know, stare at it for a while or something. I retired to my cabin and crashed out. It had been a long night. I remember waking up to sounds. Yelling, maybe? I was groggy and they were far away. I couldn't quite make them out. Clock said 4:30 AM. People were always partying on the raft, playing loud music, shooting off fireworks, that kind of thing. But so loud noises early in the morning weren't unusual. Something felt off somehow. That'd be your subconscious trying to warn you of something. She nods. Yeah, it's a lot like a panic attack, really. That full body certainty that something is wrong. So I got up to investigate. If something was wrong, I wanted to know. And if it wasn't, I figured that I might as well get in on the party. I stepped out into the hallway, and my foot slipped. I came down hard, landed on my ass, and found myself sitting in a pool of blood. Well, that's not good. She shakes her head, grimacing. No, it was pretty bad. It was pretty obvious by this point that something had gone horribly wrong. My first thought was that the shiny object might have, I don't know, unleashed something. After what I saw it do in that warehouse, I wouldn't have been surprised. I shook that off pretty quick though. I knew what this was. Our client was playing us. He had hired us to steal the thing, and rather than paying us for the job, he'd sent another team to take it away. Given what happened at the warehouse, I'd have assumed that the shiny object was to blame. Sure, I get that. Did some scary shit back in that warehouse, but it had also been sitting dormant for a long time before Sui and I stole it. Anyway, I got up and brushed myself off, then I beelined for Malvina's cabin. She was the closest thing that the sinking ship had to a leader, and the strongest right shaman on the raft. If the raft was under attack, that's probably what I would have done too. Yeah, it seemed like the right thing at the time. If there was a retrieval team coming for the shiny object, and they were strong enough to handle Sui while he was holding it, what chance would I have of stopping them on my own? I figured that it was time to bring out the big guns. Malvina was the one whom I could get them from. I passed some pretty bad stuff on my way down to Malvina's cabin. It was Old Man Xiuyan's vault all over again. The torn up bodies, the blood-streaked floors. I saw people who had been cut apart with machetes, scorch marks on the container walls. She bites her lip, grimacing at the unpleasant memories stewing in her head. Deep down in the pit of my gut, I could feel the thrumming vibration of the shiny object. That heartbeat feeling that I had in the warehouse. It was back and stronger than ever. Whatever that rock was, it was awake. Did you make it to Malvina's cabin? Yes. I burst through the door, all ready to spread the news, and someone smashed a gun into my face. It was Cadmus, my friend. He jammed the muzzle of his super warhawk into my cheek so hard it hurt. Then grabbed me by the belt with his other hand. I wasn't going anywhere. Just over his shoulder I saw Malvina. She didn't look amused. Did they think that you were in on the attack somehow? Yeah, only it wasn't an attack. Our client had nothing to do with it. Turns out there was no client. Sui had lied to us, and by helping to steal the shiny object, I had unwittingly given him what he needed to foment a mutiny. She pauses for a moment, gathers her rats in her hands, and lifts them to her shoulders. They scurry over the leather of her coat and disappear into her hair. As it turns out, betrayal hurts Seattle. Malvina felt it and I felt it too. Sui had been a friend, and I'd just risked my life to save his, like 4 hours ago. He'd tricked me into helping him do something unthinkable. Why do you think he did it? Why are we all of this over a heap of junk floating in a bay? I don't know. Maybe he'd gone toxic. Maybe he got ambitious and wanted to be the king of our little aquatic hill. He didn't discuss it with me first or anything. I'd be willing to bet that something had gone rotten in Sui long before we ever met. He was pretty damned good at hiding it. Maybe it happened recently. He could have been possessed. She holds up a hand. I don't know why he did it. Frankly, I don't care. The only thing that's important here is that he did. So what did you do? What could I do? I didn't have a whole lot of options, and Cadmus was kind of on edge, like red-faced and screaming. So I opened my mouth and I fast-talked my way out of it. I started off by doubling down on my loyalty to Malvina, Cadmus, and the status quo on the sinking ship. Swearing my undying friendship, you know the drill. I did a good job of it, but they still looked a little iffy. Iffy with a warhawk is bad. So I volunteered to prove myself by stealing the shiny object back from Sui. That follows, I guess. I mean, he only had it because of you, right? That was the idea, yeah. I mean, I didn't have a choice. I'd inadvertently helped to arm the bastard who was tearing our friends and neighbors apart. I don't think I could have cleared my name without taking his weapon away again. That was a hell of a night. I don't want to get into too many of the gory details. Friends died. Hell, friends killed each other. It was brother against brother, all that jazz. And Sui's indiscriminate use of the shiny object led a lot of things into this world that shouldn't have been. Did you get a good view of them this time? Yeah, I wish that I hadn't, but I did. I don't really know how to describe the things. They were like animals, but wrong. Too many tails, bones in the wrong places, huge open sores, that kind of thing. They were spirits manifested in physical form, I think. Most of them took the form of rats, swarms of insects, rotting things. All of the old pestilence tropes. Sometimes they were colonies of things, all tangled together and moving as one. Not the sort of thing that I want to see again, ever. So anyway, long story short, I got the shiny object back from Sui. It wasn't easy, but I got it. How'd you manage that? Lies and misdirection. Trickery. Rat helped. Some of the things that Sui let loose actually came in handy. He summoned so many of them that he couldn't hope to control them all, and that gave me an opening to use them to my advantage. I managed to trick my way past Sui's supporters and the astral menagerie that he'd summoned. Wasn't easy, but I did it. Then I stole the shiny object, and all was right with the world. And yeah, I'm intentionally glossing over the details. I had to do some things I'm not proud of, and people died because of it. But I got the damn thing, and I got it back to Malvina. What happened then? Long story short, Malvina put the shiny object to better use than Sui ever did. She took to the thing like she'd grown up using it. We still lost dozens of people, but Sui's side lost more. Cadmus was critically wounded, but he pulled through. And after the skirmish, Malvina held an assembly. She told everybody that there'd be new rules for life on the raft. Anyone who refused to follow them could leave. And if you broke them, you were done. The rules of the sea, and all that. After the pronouncement, she turned on the surviving mutineers. Honu was one of them. He'd been in on Sui's plan the whole time. She didn't kill them, but she did exile them from the sinking ship. And for people in our economic bracket, that was as good as a one-way trip to the walled city. I'd be willing to bet they're all dead by now. In the wake of Malvina's ultimatum, 5 survivors left the sinking ship. I was one of them. Why did you leave? I had to go. We may have washed the blood off of the decks, but the energy of the sinking ship had changed. It wasn't the carefree haven that I'd loved anymore. And as sensible as Malvina's rules were, I wasn't up to living under them. We parted on good but sad terms. And as you'd expect, we drifted apart over the years. It's funny, I hadn't even thought of Malvina or the sinking ship in years. Not until I decided to teach you your previous lesson and it all came flooding back in. She pauses, turns to you. And that's the story. It's finished, but I want to circle back on the lesson that I gave you up front, because it's important. We need Auntie Cheng to bring us work. That's obvious. But we also need her to keep us honest. To be sure that we, on the team, are playing straight with one another. Auntie Cheng's reputation rides on the legitimacy of the jobs that she brings us, and that, more than anything, is why we need her. If we didn't have Auntie Cheng, or someone like her, we'd eventually tear ourselves apart. It happened on the sinking ship, it could happen again in Haley. So anyway, that's the lesson. If you've got follow-up questions, go ahead and ask them. What did Malvina do with the shiny object? Well, first she used it to get rid of the things that Sui had let loose. Then she put it away for safekeeping. It's probably still there on the sinking ship, ensconced in some shrine or other, held under lock and key. At least she's keeping it safe. She shrugs. I'd have preferred it if she ditched the thing, but in the end that wasn't my choice to make. From what I've heard, she's still in power over there, so I guess that worked out okay. And Sui, what happened to him? That walking colostomy bag was already dead. eaten by his own monstrosities after I took the shiny object away. Turns out he wasn't much good at controlling them without it. Her voice fills with grim satisfaction. He didn't even live long enough to watch his mutiny fail. Any thoughts about that last run? Robert's expression darkens, and she flips some ropes of hair back over one shoulder. You know, everybody says it's bad form to back out on a job. But what about if the Johnson decides to lie and screw you over? Everybody seems to accept that as standard procedure. Drives me up the damn wall every time. Deciding to gun them both down wasn't a move I expected. Seems to have worked out though. We sent a message not to mess with us, and also we're not the kind of people to take kindly to threats. She flexes, as if to show you how big her arms are. Don't mess with us or we'll put you down. Boom. I like it. So what else did you want to chat about? Thanks, Gobbet. Sure. In Seattle? Thanks for listening. These lessons are for your benefit, but I think that they help me too. And it's nice to be taken seriously every now and again. Good problem, no problem, Gobbet. Look forward to the next one. Her face lights up. Yeah, me too. Now get a move on. I've got Gobbet things to do. Riva, you're back. She doesn't bother turning. Need something? Any thoughts? I hate to be a downer over that mission, but I'm starting to wonder if Kindly Cheng is slipping a little. The entire reason we give her a cut is to make sure that people that hire us don't have ulterior motives, and won't screw us over. Kindly dropped the ball on that one, hard. I'm going to bet that whatever irritation Kindly has over us killing the client and a gang of Koreans will disappear the instant she finds out just how valuable that data is. We basically handed her a bigger payday, and if there's one thing that can calm her down, it's cash. We made the right call. It was an impossible situation, and getting rid of both of them was the only sensible call you could have made. Alrighty. Any thoughts about that last run? Gochi snorts, expression turning sour. As much as I hate being double-crossed by a client, I hate failing to deliver on a contract just as much. The entire job was a no-win situation. Do we break our word, making ourselves look bad? Or do we execute a client, branding ourselves dangerous to future Johnsons? I confess, I did not expect you to kill both parties. Still, an unorthodox solution to a complicated problem. As Alexander did in Gorgium, you used your sword to untangle a stiff knot. And now we are free of both of them, and can sell the data on our own. Despite the bloodshed, I feel this was an elegant solution. Well done. We were talking about your father bailing you out of jail? Yes, I do recall you asking about that. Gaichu's reticence is palpable in the long silence that follows. He does not continue. Something the matter? No, Gaichu purses his lips and sighs heavily. No, everything is fine. I will tell you what you wish to know. I simply have not spoken of my family in a long time. Bad memories? No, quite good ones actually. I haven't seen Yasujiro in many years, but that is my fault. We may not have seen eye to eye when I was young, but we came to an understanding, eventually. Yasujiro gave me an ultimatum after my run-in with Shiawase security. He told me that he had cut a backroom deal with a rival in Shiawase to keep me out of prison. The charges would be suspended if I finished high school and studied at Kyoto University, with the intent of joining Renraku. If I did not, Shiawase would take me into custody, and I would spend time in prison. What did it cost him? I have no idea. He refused to reveal what he had been forced to do in exchange. But I cannot imagine it was cheap. Insider information, perhaps. Deliberately botched contract. Yasujiro was a manager in the water and power division. so the deal would have been lucrative but not secret. I had always taken my family for granted. Raised in a Renraku family, going to Renraku schools. I always had a sense of place, of belonging where I was. The thought of all that vanishing, I simply could not imagine it. Suddenly, the reality of my actions became clear. Daichi runs his fingers over his bald scalp, smiling distantly. From then on, he tried to be the son he wanted, and he seemed glad of it. We grew much closer over the next few years. He took time off to visit me when I was living in Kyoto. Why would that be unusual? He was a very busy man in those days, a lot of responsibility, and very little time for himself. I was impressed that he could carve us as much time as he did, just to go camping with his son. A lot of nice wilderness in that part of Japan, I bet. Very much so. The land around Kyoto is protected from development, due to historical and cultural significance. Most of the mountains are considered sacred, so the Diet declared them a national preserve. We made several trips to the area between Kyoto and Nara, around the village of Ide. We camped in the mountains above it. We would hunt wild deer and boar there, using my family's antique arquebus. Strange choice of weapon? It is a choice of expediency. It is nearly impossible for a private citizen to own a firearm in Japan, which is why you may so often read of Yakuza attacks involving swords and cleavers. And the Tanagashima that my family owns is from the 18th century. It is exempt from ordinary regulations. Daichi chuckles softly to himself. Perhaps, ironically, hunting with my father is how I learned to prepare raw meat. Strange to think that such activities served as training for my current state of affairs. So what's the process? How do you prepare it? Soak the meat in brined water and simmer it at a low heat for several hours. Let it cool and repeat the process over several days. It cannot get too hot or I am unable to eat it. This process brings out the collagen in the meat. When it is done, I spice it with ginger and sansho pepper. Again, not too much. Mundane food is anathema to me. But sighing happily, Gachu stares off into the distance. When he looks back, he smiles broadly at you. Those were good days. I'm sorry I cannot go back to those times. When one joins the Red Samurai, one must give up all attachments of one's previous life. The company, the code, and the unit become the entirety of your world. Even your family ties have to be cut, especially those. Anything that could distract you from a mission must be purged. Commitment to the unit and the company must be total. Applicants must be human, Japanese, and utterly devoted to Renraku. Your unit becomes your family. Your commander is your father and mother. Your teammates your siblings. Red Samurai are not allowed to reveal our identities and position to anyone outside the Special Operations Group. Even if we wanted friends outside the unit, we could not have them. So how did you end up joining the Renraku military? Ah, a fair question, given my youthful indiscretions. Gachu leans back, his blind eyes turned toward the ceiling. Are you familiar with the Kempeitai? No, what's that? The Kempeitai are the political arm of the Japanese military. Much like the commissars of the Soviet Union, they are responsible for enforcing political and social orthodoxy. This is not just within the army, mind you. They also enforce certain laws with regard to the general populace. When I was enrolled at Kyoto University, I studied global security and political science. It is the major generally used as a gateway to private security postings with both government and corporate militaries. I knew I wanted to fight. I was a young man, and my blood was always up. One of the requirements was that students join the Youth Brigade Kempeitai. The Youth Brigade is a bit like the ROTC in North America, the Young Falcons in the Shu Nation, or the District Officer Program in the Republic of Korea. Members learn to be soldiers without actually joining an army. They perform community service and promote civic pride. The performance and prestige in Kempeitai are used to dictate later job opportunities. A bit like a good internship. Did you enjoy it? Not at first. Later, it became pleasant. Power is a heady thing, especially for a youth who has few superiors to answer to. We developed a sense of superiority over others and began to abuse our power. I believe that may have been part of the point. Did they want you to feel superior? Yes. I believe that the purpose of the Youth Brigade is to teach students to glorify the group over the individual. Already a strong concept in Japanese culture. In doing so, students are prepared for the realities of their future relationship with a corporation. We did as we were taught, such is the way of authority on the young. Gochu shrugs indifferently. What kind of things did you do? Details do not matter overmuch. Forced our way into homes under false pretenses to intimidate families. We encouraged children to inform on their parents, accepted bribes to look the other way, if we were in the mood, or had people arrested for said bribery if we were not. Petty behavior, but such things were encouraged. When I was nearing graduation, I was approached by a recruiter with Renraku Security. She told me I came from a good family and could have a promising career with the company. She offered to fast-track my application toward a potential Red Samurai position. 3 years with the Renraku military as a junior officer, and guaranteed placement in a Red Samurai training billet of my choosing. The pay was good, and the excitement of being an elite was an attractive proposition. I accepted, but I did not truly understand what I was signing up for. As I told you before, they force you to give up everything except the company and unit. That was made clear to me, but I did not truly understand it. So what happened? Exactly what you would expect happened. I signed the contract and became a soldier in Renraku's army. I was physically fit, at the top of my class. It seemed inevitable that I would see my desires fulfilled. Gachi wraps 2 knuckles on his breastplate. Obviously, I succeeded. The training was extremely difficult, both mentally and physically. I knew that I would be isolated from my old life, but I did not anticipate the full extent of that isolation. All Red Samurai recruits report to a facility called The Forge in Chiba. You are assigned to a unit, you and 4 other recruits. And for the next 2 years, The Forge will be your home and prison. Shaking his head wistfully, Gaichu snorts. It seemed ridiculous in retrospect. We were all so young. None of us had any idea what we were doing, except trying to become the best soldiers in the world. And yet those strangers became my new family, in the absence of the old. Tell me about the members of your unit. Gochu wrinkles his nose as if smelling something foul. That chapter of my life is over and done with. They are no longer part of my world. Why would you care about any of that? If they're still hunting you, I need to know about them. He stares at you for a long, silent moment. Finally, he grunts. Very well, that is a fair point. Gochu looks down at his hands, picking something out from beneath one claw. He continues to look at his hands while he speaks. When I was younger, I would have more readily cut off my fingers than tell you what you ask. You must understand that secrecy is absolute among the Red Samurai. Your identity becomes secret, erased from any database that might connect you to the Red Samurai. You use only your code name when in the field, and your given name is known only to your commanders and your unit. Even other Red Samurai units have no idea who you really are. Finally, looking up from his hands, Gaichu leans back against the boxes. Contact with the outside world is cut off completely. Even once training is over, your communications are restricted. Maintaining relationships outside of those you work with is frowned upon. That's a lot of stress. What if a recruit can't take it? Very few recruits get to this point if they cannot handle it. We all underwent stringent psychological tests prior to this point. If a recruit cannot handle it, he and the rest of his unit are failed out of the program. The rationale is simple. If one member cannot take the training, and his unit cannot carry him through, they have all failed. Ishida was our commander. He came from a rich family in Saitama. The kind of family where he was given every advantage possible, with the expectation that he would keep the family name prestigious. He was older than the rest of us, as he'd already spent 6 years in the army. A very severe man, rarely given to humor. Takagawa was usually the second in command. As a designated marksman, he tended to have a better tactical view of how an operation should be run, simply because he needed to study the terrain more. He loved to get us laughing. Without him, I think I would have gone crazy in the first few months. Our major's name was Sasaki. She had been training as a Miko, an apprentice priestess, when her magic began to manifest. She was in the unit for the challenge, and for the money. Her family had always been poor, and they had always told her she would never amount to anything. I think she had joined the Red Samurai just to prove to them that she could do anything she wanted. Was she hard to work with? Gaichi smiles distantly. No, actually. Quite the opposite. She was excellent at encouraging us to go above and beyond what we thought ourselves capable of. I think part of her secret was that she never actually questioned if she could accomplish any of her goals. She simply assumed that it was inevitable. Our heavy gunner's name was Aomori. He kept the team honest with itself. He never had a disparaging word for anyone, but would not hesitate to call someone out for their behavior. Sasaki loved that about him. She loved all of him. The two were discreet, but discretion only goes so far in such a small team. Still, we respected their privacy where possible. That kind of thing allowed? If the unit commander allows it, yes. We were given incredibly wide leeway in what to allow or forbid in our unit. The belief being that results were the only thing that mattered. If the unit failed, it would fail as a whole. Sasaki and Aomori were crazy about each other, and it would have done more harm to keep them apart. Lastly, there was me. I was the close quarters and breaching expert. The first man in the door when we had to clear our room. I was the perfectionist on the team. Aomori could get us to do anything. But I was the one who made certain we did it. Well. With style. How do you mean? If a thing is worth doing, it is worth doing well. If that thing is also your duty, it is worth doing perfectly. Many times we would perform a drill or exercise well enough, but that was not good enough. If I had to trust my life to it. That is why we became one of the best teams in the organization's history. Sounds like you missed them. Gaichi growls, his tone annoyed. Of course I do. They were my family for 8 years. Who wouldn't miss that? That sense of belonging and shared values. Even if I were to be cured, I could never go back. They have been disgraced, and I have done unforgivable things. I have been cast out for good. What do you mean? Gaichi closes his eyes, sighing through his nose. When they ambushed me in Fukuoka, it was fight or die. I killed 2 of them before I escaped. I will not be returning to that unit, no matter what. He opens his eyes after a moment, shoulders slumping. It is not an easy memory to grapple with. Why not now? I need to process the emotions. It was nearly a year ago, but it still feels as raw as if it were yesterday. I am tired. Come back later and we can talk more. The cabin is silent aside from the occasional swish of air as Gaichi steps through sword forms. He holds each stance for a few seconds, practicing a given swing a few times before switching to the next. Hello, Riva. A single bead of sweat rolls down Gaichi's temple as he holds his position. After a few moments, he shifts to a relaxed stance, starting to form again. Pardon me for continuing my exercises. I feel that I have been letting them slip of late. Worried you're getting rusty? No, that's not quite it. Rather, I wish to learn to bring my enhanced strength and speed to bear. In order to do so, I must ensure that my blindness does not hinder me. Perfection is a journey, not a destination. Gaichi lifts his sword, offering it edge first toward you. Do you see that edge? Forged by one of the finest swordsmiths in modern Japan. Diamond-coated edge, capable of cutting even the most hardened ceramic armors. But what good is a sharpened edge without the precision to apply it? Still, when I was still a man, I could have cut a single pea in half with my eyes closed. Oddly, after becoming blind, I cannot replicate this feat. Running the back of a claw along the blade's surface, Goichi smiles thinly. I think soon I will be able to perform this feat again. I simply have to train my body to ignore the senses that it no longer has, and pay attention to the new ones. Now, what was it that you would like to discuss? Tell me when your old unit ambushed you. Very well. Goichi draws his nails over his scalp, sighing. My time in Fukuoka was tense. Since leaving Keihanshin, I have been careful to stay out of sight by moving on foot or on the back of automated delivery vans. I was running out of food, however, and needed to be in a city for that. Fukuoka was just big enough to get lost in, but not so large that a ghoul sighting could go unnoticed. I hid in abandoned buildings and storm drainage systems, and for 2 weeks I managed to stay hidden. The strain of having to constantly move was wearing on me. However, I made a mistake. What happened? I had to get out of Japan, but all of my contacts in Fukuoka had come up empty-handed when I asked for a way to China. I was running low on money and could feel the team catching up with me. A contact of mine in Kumamoto owed me a favor, and arranged passage for me if I could reach the city in 48 hours. Goichi closes his eyes, resting his face in one palm. If I had taken my time, I could have made it to Kumamoto without incident, but I let caution slip when I got his email. Thought that if I disguised myself, I could take the train there, get out before my unit got any closer to finding me. I still don't know how they found me. Magical tracking, perhaps. Or simply well-developed spy network. Regardless, they found me. They were waiting for me at Hakata Station. It was an ambush. Very public place for an ambush. It is. I suspect their orders were clear, however. Do whatever it takes to kill me. Civilians expendable. For units like the Red Samurai, ordinary laws do not apply. The mission's success is the only concern. I had taken steps to disguise myself as best I could, relying on the sheer number of people to conceal my presence. I suspected that the team might attack while I was in public, but I did not realize just how expendable the civilians were. When they blew the C4 charges over the station's western entrance just to box me in, I realized how much I had underestimated them. I assumed that the train had derailed, honestly. But then I smelled the telltale acrid vapor of the explosives. Goichi wrinkles his nose in the memory. Once you smell it, you never forget. The plastic explosive that we used had a particularly sharp odor, like old cheese. Something to do with an olfactory tag added to help track it if it is stolen. I remember stumbling through the dust and debris, trying to find my way to the rail platforms. They attacked from all sides, using the confusion to strike at once. I could hear Ishida and Takagawa behind me. Aomori and Sasaki charged out of an access corridor just ahead of where I had been standing. Sasaki threw a firewall down behind me, cutting off retreat while Aomori started firing. Sounds like you didn't have much choice but to defend yourself. Goichi nods, lips pursed. Yes, that is so. Training took over. I knew I had to survive, and I was not thinking of anything but survival. So I charged Sasaki and Aomori. They were only 15 meters away from me. The only advantage I had was that they were as blinded by the dust as I was, but I could still hear and smell them. Yes, it is, Millie. Sasaki threw a lightning bolt at me, but I managed to roll under it. As I came up, Aomori's light machine gun was swiveling down. I felt time stretch out as I stared down the barrel. I caught Aomori by the throat with the tip of my sword. It was a maneuver I practiced hundreds of times before. There was no resistance as I cut through his trachea, and he fell as I rolled to the side. I could hear him choking for breath as he dropped. Goichi exhales a humorless laugh and shakes his head. It's strange to think how clear that memory is, even now. He was your friend. That kind of thing will stick with you. Goichi snorts, waving a hand dismissively. Spare me the 2 year in psychiatry. Obviously, what you say is true. But the memory sticks with me so strongly for another reason. It was in that strike that I realized who I truly was. My whole time with the Red Samurai, I had focused on ensuring that I was worthy of the team. Everyone felt that way, but I felt it more acutely than most. I have always wanted to be the best, the fastest, the most precise. In the Red Samurai, I felt that to be less than perfect would be to let the team down. We were always told how lucky we were to have been accepted into the unit. The moment my sword struck Aomori, I knew that I would survive the fight. They attacked me as they would an animal. They seemed to be counting on herding me into Takagawa and Ishida. Aomori didn't even try to get out of the way of my sword strike. I recall his eyes going wide. He looked surprised that I was using a weapon and not my claws. They underestimated you. Gaichi nods sharply. They thought they were fighting a beast. I would never have underestimated them as they did me. All the lessons I taught them about close combat thrown out the window as soon as their preconceptions entered the battlefield. Disgraceful. As I killed Aomori, I realized that it was not that I was unworthy of the Red Samurai, but that they were unworthy of me. What it did mean that I, an infected monster that was less than a beast, could still defeat the finest soldiers in the world. Red Samurai doctrine taught Aomori and the others not to fear me, and this overconfidence would be their death. I realized I had progressed beyond their ability to understand. My sword was as accurate as ever, but they could not account for it due to ideological blindness. That's the danger of letting ideology overrule facts. Precisely. All those years, I was worried I was not good enough to be a member of the Red Samurai. That somehow they had been pulling my weight. I had been blind to all of the ways in which we were not training, or had avoided the harsh truths about our own abilities. We were so often told of our own excellence, that I wondered if we had ever been truly been tested. Sasaki was the next to fall. As I turned away from Aomori, I realized she must have seen me striking. Her eyes were wide, and I could feel her fear and anger as she tried to summon another spell. She seemed caught between healing Aomori and attacking me. Gaichi taps himself on the forehead just above his right eye. It was there, on Sasaki. Downward stroke from Jodan's stance. She had hesitated, just as Aomori had. I felt the breath go out of her. Someone had deflated a tire. She just slid down into a pile. I think she was trying to ask me how when I ran. What about Ishida and Takagawa? My goal was survival, not victory. Takagawa was too far away, and I did not see Ishida. I only smelled him, so I ran. The trains had been shut down due to the explosion, but as long as I could get out of Hakata station, I knew I could escape. He did not follow me out into the city proper. From what I heard via the Matrix, the event was reported as a terrorist attack that was thwarted by brave Renraku soldiers. Gaichi snorts, lips curling downward. Brave, foolish soldiers. That's all I need right now, Gaichi. Yeah. Alright. Well, I think that's where we'll finish up for today. Got another mission to do. Got to take the MTR to Dreamland, to meet Dreamland. And then I think it's the beginning of the end game. Alrighty. And that's going to be all for today for Shadowrun. We'll be back again tomorrow with more Shadowrun. We'll probably be finishing it next week. And tonight we are playing Edge of Eternity. And tomorrow we start Etrian Odyssey 3, which is exciting. But let's go and raid somebody. Let's go say, oh boy. Alrighty. Ah, that's unfortunate. Alrighty. Take care of yourselves, everybody. Stay safe, stay happy, and I'll see you tonight for Edge of Eternity. Bye-bye.